talking about the importance of ritual in this moment of time, in this world that we're living in, amidst the chaos and the heartbreak and the noise and this feeling that so many of us have of witnessing atrocity and being helpless to do anything about it. We are not helpless, but it certainly can feel that way. And so, hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Woo Curious podcast, your map to the mystical, your key to the sacred, and your guide back home to yourself. I'm Eileen, a writer, a spiritual coach, energy healer, and slow living witch. This podcast is your invitation to explore a world where the mundane and the sacred intertwine. It's a haven for those ready to take the first steps into the realms of magic and mystery, providing a safe space for you to embark on your own enchanted journey towards healing and self-discovery. Here, I'll unveil the whispers of the mystical, the rituals often hidden in plain sight, and I'll engage in sacred conversation intended to stir your soul and lead you back into your power. I'm all about demystifying woo and witchcraft. So, whether you're a seasoned seeker or simply woo curious, I'm so delighted you've decided to join me on this journey. Let's make magic. Hey Woo Crew, really quick before we jump into today's episode, I just wanted to let you know about a few things that are coming up. First, we have our Spring Equinox ceremony this week. This is a beautiful, intimate women's circle for the Wheel of the Year celebration of the equinox, that balance point between the light and the dark. All the details are on my website, myluminouslife.ca/Ostara. And of course, we have Unleash Your Inner Witch coming up. I made the decision to push the start date back from March 11th all the way to April 8th. So now we have this juicy long runway to hop into that 12-week course in witchcraft, in a different way of moving in the world for these times we are in. All the details are on my website. Again, myluminouslife.ca/unleash-your-inner-witch. And the links, of course, will be below in the show notes. Okay, let's get to the episode. Hello, Woo Crew, and welcome back to another episode of the Woo Curious podcast. I am your host, Eileen, and today's episode is a lovely solo episode. It is an episode to celebrate the Spring Equinox, or as you might hear it called by modern day Wiccans and pagans, Ostara. And I'll share a little bit about the history behind the name Ostara, or the presumed history. We're not totally sure. We don't have great records of when that name started to get used and by whom and all that jazz, but I'll talk a little bit about that. I'm going to talk about the energetics of this time of year. And as usual, I don't know exactly what I'm going to talk about because I don't have notes. I have, though, been having conversations today, actually. I was a guest on a podcast that's going to be coming out this week as you listen to this, if you're listening to it in real time, a podcast called Women Waken. And I'm speaking with Whitney about witchcraft and cyclical living and the importance of slowing down and unhooking ourselves from hustle culture and consumerism and capitalism and all of the things that we always talk about on this show here. And then I was talking with my dear friend Meg of My Somatic Self. We went on to Instagram, went live, chatting about Unleash Your Inner Witch, which the start date has been pushed back for to April 8th. So again, if you're hearing this, I'm going to talk more about that at the end, but you haven't missed the boat on joining us in this next round of 12 weeks of Unleash Your Inner Witch with integration built in. Meg and I were talking about the importance of ritual in this moment of time, in this world that we're living in, amidst the chaos and the heartbreak and the noise and this feeling that so many of us have of witnessing atrocity and being helpless to do anything about it. We are not helpless, but it certainly can feel that way. And so today's episode, yes, it's about the spring equinox, but we're going to dig in a little bit to that ritual piece and coming back to some of the basics, some of those tools that help us to stay anchored, to be able to ground ourselves within our own bodies on this earth, to be able to stay present to and witness what is going on in the world without being subsumed by it, without being absolutely devastated by it. Even it is devastating, but without us being, swept away in that torrent. It can be really tempting in these times to either be online, constantly consuming because it feels like we're doing something when we're engaging, when we're posting, when we're enraged, and our rage is important. And if we are plugged into that news cycle too frequently for too long without proper nervous system tools, grounding tools, connection, community, actual conversation with actual humans, we're burning ourselves out. You will not feel well if that's what's happening for you, if that's where you're spending most of your time, right? And so having this moment, having these topics coming up at this point in the year of balance between the light and the dark, right? Because that's what equinox means, equal night. It's the Latin for equal night. And it's this point in the year, there are two of them, where the day and the night is in balance, where the hours of darkness are equal to the hours of light. And I think it's a really beautiful moment to come back into balance within ourselves and reflect on how we can tend to ourselves, to each other, how we can create a ripple of change out into the world. And a lot of that is through connection. And stay present, witness, be effectual in the ways in which we can impact change without totally burning ourselves up and burning ourselves out, without being in a constant state of anxiety and nervous system overload. So that's kind of what I'm envisioning for today's episode. And of course, as I said, I don't have notes, so you'll be the judge if I actually stick to all of that or hit all of those points, but I think that we will. First, though, let's start with the spring equinox and the word Ostara. When I first started following the Wheel of the Year, or actually paying attention to the Wheel of the Year, it was actually Ostara that I began with. And now this is before I had finished either my energy healing work or my life coaching. I'm actually thinking, I don't know if I was even begun either of those things. I don't think I was, or I had just begun. Anyways, I remember it was March. It was gloomy, it was snowy, it was brown, as March often is where I live. And I was thinking about the things that I used to do with my mom around Easter. And one of the things that we liked to do, or we always did when I was a kid, is we hollowed out eggs and we used food coloring to dye them. And then we used wax and thread to hang them. And then we'd hang them from pussy willow branches. We'd go out and collect pussy willows, or maybe we bought the pussy willows, or maybe we just grabbed regular branches. I don't remember. But we would hang the decorated eggs from the tree as part of our Easter tradition. And this one year, and it would have been 4 or 5 years ago, I was thinking in March about this tradition, and suddenly my brain went, I feel like there is a day, I feel like that the equinox has this name that sounds like Easter. What is that? And I went online and did some research and quickly found this word, Ostara, which sounds remarkably like Easter. And I'll get to that too. And this point of the year that we're celebrating Ostara at, or that people celebrated it, was the equinox. Having been raised without religion, though of course Christianity provides a framework for all of our societal holidays in the West, so we're very much within that framework. But the date of Easter had always made a little bit of, it didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand. There was this moment, this equinox, we're welcoming spring. It's measurable in the sky. The light and the dark are equal. I was like, why don't we celebrate Easter on this day? So anyways, this is a long rambling story to say I discovered Ostara. I discovered this pagan celebration, this ancient agricultural moment. At the time, I didn't know that part, but of marking this moment where the day and the night were equal, and what that meant in terms of energetics, the stories behind it, right? At the time, I still followed our current calendar, and so for me, it was the first day of spring. Though you'll know if you've been here with me for any length of time that this marks the apex of spring, the middle of spring in the more ancient Celtic wheel of the year. And spring is this time of liminality. So yes, the days are lengthening and they're about to get longer than the nights. Yahoo! Although as I get older, I enjoy more and more the darkness of winter. There's still excitement when the light returns, right? It has an impact on us. We're starting to feel more energetic. We're starting to have more ideas. We're starting to feel called outwards. And being a time of liminality, balance never being a static point, always fluctuating. One day we might be feeling inspired and with lots of energy, and the next we might be feeling like we still need to cozy up with a fire or a book and rest and take time. So it's a really important time to continue to listen inward and honor our rhythms and listen to our bodies. This is always important, but I think that as the light lengthens, it can be easy to get swept up in that pull outwards. And so the reminder that you're allowed to still rest and take time and slow and nourish and tend inwards as well. It's this time of really tender emergence, right? So the seeds that we planted back at Samhain, maybe at Yule, the roots are digging down. You may live somewhere where the things are actually up above the earth as well, quite visibly, maybe for a while now. Where I am, I really like to sink into that energy of like the roots are pushing down, they're growing, they're building that network, that support system, the beginnings, the necessary groundwork for the plants to come up above. And if things are pushing up, they're tender, right? You've got those little cotyledon leaves, you've got sensitivity to the cold, to any animals that are also waking up, and the weeds too, although we can have a whole episode on how I feel about weeds. I love weeds, but not all of them, and only sometimes. Anyways, weeds are just plants that humans decided they didn't want in a place. However, if you've planted, food seeds or tulip bulbs or something, you may want to be tending the area around those tender emergences so they don't get choked out. And the same goes for the seeds of intention that we planted, right? It's a beautiful time to be really coddling those ideas, those intentions, as we start to slowly take action to bring them into the world. As always, I've gone on a total tangent already. Ostara. So, this word is not one that would have been used by the ancient Celts. And we don't know exactly when it started to be used. It is likely that it's been around for quite some time, but whether or not it was actually applied to this date, this equinox, is hard to say. And so I've actually transitioned away from using it routinely. I'll drop it in here and there because it's familiar to a lot of people who follow the wheel of the year. But the word comes from a Germanic goddess of the same or similar name. So there's a little bit of debate linguistically. Is it the Anglo-Saxon goddess Eostre, spelled Eostre? She was a spring goddess associated with agriculture and the dawn. There's some speculation that she's a newer invention, but she is actually mentioned in the 8th century by the Venerable Bede, and so it's hard to say for sure to pinpoint it, but it sounds like it, or it seems like the name Ostara derives from her, from this myth. And there's some beautiful stories about Eostre, or we could call her Ostara, and her feast day. So if we're looking at this word, it's been applied to the spring equinox. Again, modern day paganism and the Wiccan religion have taken a few of kind of ancient deities and applied some of their names to these solar and lunar events. And so you get Mabon, for instance, at the autumn equinox. That happened in the 1970s, that Mabon is a Welsh god, and his name was applied to the autumn equinox. And so that's why it gets a bit murky. Anyways, really fun little story about Ostara or Eostra, whichever one we're going to go with on her name. When we look at that source, the Venerable Bede, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing his name right, Eostra is the Saxon version of a Germanic goddess called Ostara. And Ostara's feast day was held on the full moon following the spring equinox, which is nearly an identical calculation as the Christian Easter. And so again, we see this kind of melding and bringing in of pagan traditions into the dominating religion as it moved across the land. There's not very much documented evidence, again, to prove it, but it seems to be a reasonable story about what happened. But what I wanted to share is, okay, why do we have rabbits laying eggs at Easter? Why is that part of our Easter tradition, right? We have got lots of rabbits and we've got lots of chocolate eggs, and we all know that rabbits don't lay eggs. Here's the story. Eostre found a bird wounded on the ground late in the winter. To save its life, she transformed it into a hare. But the transformation wasn't a complete one, and the bird took the appearance of a hare but retained the ability to lay eggs. The hare would decorate these eggs and leave them as gifts of thanks for saving its life to Eostre. And so I love that story, which is part of why I wanted to get into a bit of the history around the word Easter, the word Ostara, what it's applied to. Moving forward, you're just going to hear me refer to this moment as a spring or vernal equinox. And it's a time to celebrate, right? Planting the new crop. So yes, we're nurturing the little buds, the plants, the intentions that are slowly growing up through the soil, putting roots down through the soil, metaphorically and in reality outside our windows. And it's also a time that we're planting, right? In Calgary, we're still planting indoors. We start our seeds inside. We're nowhere near last frost. But there is this sense of, okay, things are starting to grow. We're putting the seasonal veggies and flowers and stuff into the ground now. We're seeding our intentions now as well, giving voice to new projects and giving breath to the ideas and projects we want to bring into the world, harnessing the energy of the growing sun. We know that whether or not there was, a real big celebration at this time of year in ancient lands, they definitely were paying attention to it. They were marking it. We have those womb tombs, those megalithic mounds in Ireland that were constructed 5,000 years ago, some of which align exactly with the sun as it rises on the equinox. And so we know that our ancestors were marking these moments. They were important to them. This day, this moment as well, the equinox, is also the beginning of the astrological new year. And so when we think about the energies of the equinox, of this culmination, this apex of spring energies, we think about, in a lot of ways, all the things that our society would attribute to January 1st. In a lot of ways, this matches the energy that we've given January 1st. On the outside. It's a fresh start. It's the beginning of the zodiac. It's the burgeoning of spring. It feels like a moment where we're tipping. We literally are tipping towards the light and therefore more energy in each and every day. It's a great time to clear things out, right? Spring cleaning, get rid of those stagnant energies from winter, sow the seeds, do the rituals, connect with community. And it's a really beautiful time to start thinking, I think all times are, but it's a great time to harness the energy and to think about infusing more ritual into practical matters, right? So when you're spring cleaning, it's not only of your physical space, but it's of the energetic space, right? You can ritualize your spring cleaning. Maybe you made moon water at a beautiful full moon. Don't use the eclipse water to clean your house, please. But you could put some moon water into your cleaning supplies so that you're energetically, again, infusing and clearing out and cleaning your space, tidying up outdoor areas, making room, literally and spiritually, right? That inner work too, for the abundance to come. If you put down too much mulch in the fall, again, talking both outside and metaphorically, maybe it's time to clear some of it away, put it into a compost pile on the side so that the new life coming through isn't stifled. As always, we will be coming together to celebrate this moment with ritual, with ceremony, and in community on the evening of March 19th. And so that's this coming Thursday, 7:15 p.m. Mountain Time, recorded as always. Most people choose to attend live. There's always a handful of folks, though, who sign up for every ceremony just to receive the replay because dropping in on the weekend works better for them. So I know there's magic here, whether you're attending with us live or signing up to grab the replay so that you can drop into that practice and honor this moment. And what I want to draw attention to with this ceremony, with this practice, is the ritual one, which anchors us in our bodies, in the moment. It slows us down, it soothes our nervous systems, and it reminds us that there is a lot of world outside of the news cycle. Yes, it is impacting all of us, but there is still space to come in, to connect really simply to the land right outside your front door and to other humans who are doing the work. There's a co-regulation when we come into these spaces together where we get to share and be vulnerable and also do deep inner work, but in community. A big part of our ritual, of our ceremony, is always guided journaling prompts that I provide around the energetics of the season and the directions, the 4 directions. And there's something magical about that shared energetic space and the intention to practice this together. The connection in community is so important now more than ever, because not only are we feeling extra vulnerable and isolated, I believe, I know I am, but we're also seeing a real rise in the political powers that be pushing for alienation from one another, pushing for scapegoating, right? I'm seeing a lot of talk these days, and I love it, on my Instagram feed about the need for matriarchy. And with really clear definition here that matriarchy isn't just patriarchy reversed with women at the top in positions of power and control. Matriarchy centers children and centers the most vulnerable among us. It is a community-minded style of managing society. It's not hierarchical. It doesn't even have to have all women in positions of power. Men can be in positions of leadership within a matriarchy. It's more about the structure than who in a biological sexed body is doing the leading or is being turned to for wisdom or guidance. And so this coming together, this practicing of being open with one another, of connecting and of seeing in each other those deep things that we hold within ourselves, right? When we share our experiences, when we share what we're calling in, when we share what we're releasing, when we share what we're struggling with, we recognize how much more alike we are than different. And I think that it's so important to do this on a micro scale in small rooms, because it reminds us that if I'm in a room of 10 people and I resonate with all of their stories, let's be honest, but like say 3 of their stories, how many more of the people out in the world am I going to resonate with and have something in common with? Even if we are in completely different social situations, different countries, different language groups, different skinned bodies, we are all human. We are all human beings entangled with each other on a planet and with the planet. And so I think it's really powerful now more than ever to be gathering together in community. All this to say, please come join us for this ceremony. If you are already in Unleash Your Inner Witch, you're getting this ceremony as a bonus. So you still have time to sign up for Unleash Your Inner Witch and grab this ceremony as a bonus, or you can come pay for the ceremony and join Unleash afterwards. But why not? Why not get both? I am So excited for this next round of Unleash Your Inner Witch in its new extended format, with more time for connection, more time for guided visualizations, more time for embodiment and integration of the practices, more time for the community to really build and strengthen while we journey together. And I've made the very recent decision to offer everyone who's choosing to sign up before March 31st a discount if you use the code ComingHome200. Before end of day, March 31st, you'll receive $200 off tuition. It feels so important to have spaces like this, and whether or not you ever join me in one of my community spaces, whether it's ceremony, whether it's Unleash Your Inner Witch, whether it's stepping into a full year of mentorship inside the Wise Wild Woman program, I hope that you find a community to be part of, to sit with, to tend to each other, to hold space and witness, and to hold each other through what is inarguably an incredibly destabilizing time. Okay, I think that's where I want to wrap today. Please let me know. Comment below the YouTube video, comment on the Spotify video, come on over to Instagram at @IamEileenMarch, email me Eileen@MyLuminousLife. Let me know if this conversation is resonating for you, what's landing. Let me know maybe if you've heard the story of Ostara and the egg-laying hare before, or if that one's new to you. And if there's anything that you want me to speak to, either more in depth than I've already done, an old topic that I've touched on and you want me to bring back, something completely new, something that's just on your mind. This podcast, I want so much for it to be an ongoing conversation. And so I would love to hear from you. Okay, Woo Crew. That's all for this week. I'll be back again next week with another solo episode. If you like the episode, please rate, review, like, subscribe, all of the things on whatever platform it is you're listening. Share this with a friend if it was helpful. I am just so honored to be here week after week. Bye for now.